Well, it is the third week of LCS with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I'm joined right now by Revenge off of Immortals' victory against Cloud9. I assume a victory that you really needed because before the start of your game, they were on the analyst desk and they were showing the gold graphs for your last two games and just the cliffs that resulted in the very end. So I'm guessing you guys really wanted to get this win today.
I mean, yeah, it was it was so stressful going in being on a loss streak, like a 4 loss streak. I think it's like our first time actually ever being on this big of a loss streak. And we had an absolutely devastating game yesterday versus TSM where it was just like came down to inches and like really small decisions. I mean, yeah, our early game wasn't the greatest that game, but just losing the game in that fashion, at least for me, was like just so hard to like move on from.
Yeah.
But I had to do my best, and just there's that extra stress factor knowing, okay, well, C9 is also a top team. It's a hard week. Like we can't lose this. We really don't want to lose though. But we know we have a challenging opponent ahead of us, so we just have to focus up and be at our 100%. And I think that was like a really tough obstacle for us to overcome, but we were able to do it.
What do you think of the way this Cloud9 game went through? Because I want to ask you some broader questions about the team, but first let's talk about this. It felt like you guys had a very dominant start, and then there were just several times where like things would go completely in an opposite direction. So I don't know what your take is on it.
Well, early game was a little awkward. Like we I think we traded Rift and we got a bot kill, and I feel like we were able to get out of early game okay, but I think that the biggest turn was when we TP top and got the double kill on them, and then we were kind of able to like take over the map from there. We also then got Rift and rifted bot and dove them, and I think then the game should have been a lot smoother and quicker to end. But we threw a fight after we took Baron, and that was like the scariest thing because we knew their comp scaled really well, and like with Ezreal Karma obviously, and we we definitely knew we had to play perfectly after that, but we still made some mistakes. Like I got caught out mid a few times, and I think we misplayed a few of our team fights by just like either going too forward or just not being on the same page. But I felt like most of the game we had control. After like the first 7 minutes, I feel like we were still getting like just keeping control of the map, so that felt really good. And then at the end, we were really decisive with like getting Baron and Dragon and then Baron and then just going for the siege and playing everything safe. And then there was like the banger base fight. And yeah, I don't know. It was definitely a stressful game, but I still felt good about how we were playing together as a team.
All right. So how do you it? I want to ask, what do you think of Immortals as a team right now, and how strong of a team that you are? Because I feel like it's really hard to gauge. Because most teams, when they go on this giant lose streak, you would say like, okay, this is not a great team. But in so many of these games, it looked like you could win them. So, I mean, at the end of the day, obviously, what counts is the record. But I'm curious how you gauge Immortals in Summer Split right now, because it's tough, I think, for a lot of people.
Well, I just want to. This is something I didn't actually really publicly talk about too much about last week, but I got 4 of my wisdom teeth removed last week on Monday, so my off day. And I went into scrims Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I mean, I didn't. This is my choice, by the way. I chose, not to sub in like Viper or put no one else in my place. I played the scrims despite, you know, not being able to eat any solid food, and it was just being in a lot of pain. It was honestly last week when we played TL, EG, and Dig was like one of the most stressful weeks of my life. And I think it took a toll on the whole team, and it definitely took a big toll on me and my performances. And I feel bad for that, but it wasn't my choice to get them removed. I kind of had to because I was already feeling pain from them beforehand. So I was glad I was able to get through that time. But yeah, I went all of last week without being able to eat any food really. I just drank soup and ate Jello. and it was really rough. And I don't want to make that as an excuse, but I definitely felt like we were a much different team last week because of that. My energy was different, and I felt like I contribute a lot to the team when I do give my full 100% and give all my energy. So it was really it made me feel really guilty to lose the 3 games we lost last week because I just knew I wasn't at my 100%. So coming into this week, I've been really fired up and just trying my hardest to play the best I can and make up for last week. And I think that we're still going to show that we're as dominant as we were the first week. And the first week we dominated 100 Thieves and GGS. I think the CLG game was a bit shaky, but to be honest, it should have also been a very clean and quick game. I think that we are able to compete with every team in the LCS just fine, and that's through scrim results, and also just how I feel like our level actually is with how we understand the game past early game. And a lot of that changed between spring and summer because we scrimmed a lot longer than every other team, and we worked on a lot of things that we were lacking in spring.
It's interesting because I think a lot of people look at last week's record and they know about Gyoto's decision to sub in from Academy, and so I'm curious. How much of last week's losses do you attribute to that at all? Because obviously, when you were playing, like now I'm hearing that not only was it that you guys had 4 out of 5 of your normal roster, but then you had also been out of it. So I'm kind of realizing like there might have been a lot happening last week that contributed to those losses. But I don't know if maybe you see it the same way.
Well, the decision to sub in Pretty was something that we've been talking about for a while. Like even in the off season, like, hey, this guy performed well last split in Academy. We want like on our Gyoto really wanted to give him a game. So it was kind of something that we knew could happen, and I thought it was, in theory, it was a good idea by Gyoto to try to promote someone from Academy. I mean, me being in Academy last year, like give him a chance to like show himself. You know, me being in Academy last year, that would have been huge for me going into like the next off season, for example. But given like the circumstances of the week and given the as well as the draft we had that day, I think he also tweeted about it and maybe he spoke about it as well. It was like a lot of unfortunate circumstances coming together, and I feel badly for Pretty. I think he wasn't able to showcase his best like self and his best style and his best performance, and that's unfortunate. But I still think he's a really good player, and I think that it definitely took a toll to like break our win streak. It sucks, but we were definitely upset about that. But I feel like we're all really close as a team, and outside the game, we're really close with each other, so we were able to just like focus up and get through it. But for the next 2 games, I definitely was, like I said, I wasn't personally still at my 100%. So, um, and that's, you know, I don't feel like it was the only reason we lost or anything, but it from my perspective, it still was really, really hard to get through. But you know, the thing is, when we lose, we don't let it tilt us too much. We kind of take a lot from the losses, and we are a really emotional team, so we kind of can like take more. I feel like from losses than uh, like most teams can, because we kind of just get together and we just always talk about it, and it kind of fires us up. So I feel like it was still overall like not a terrible experience to go through as a team.
Yeah.
Considering it's such a long season.
I mean, better to get the losses in now if you have to get some, and maybe get some wins later on in the split. We unfortunately are out of time because we're only allotted 10 minutes. But is there anything you want to say to any of the fans out there?
Yeah, I know we were inconsistent last week, and we might not look like a top team right now, but we're working on competing with everyone in the league. I mean, we beat C9 today. I think that we had a really close game against TL and TSM. So for new fans out there who like our play style and our craziness, you know, jump on board. We're gonna keep having it's a long season. We're gonna keep playing our style and getting better at it. So, and thank you to everyone who has been sticking around from the start, even in spring. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for the interview, Revenge. Really appreciate it. And for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things LCS right here on my YouTube channel. Listen, TikTok is blowing up right now, and based off my surveys, a lot of you guys don't like TikTok. I create content there. You can follow me at Travis Gafford on TikTok, and it's quite fun. I think you might like it. But for those of you that don't like TikTok, look, if all my sponsors go away, I'm just going to become a full-time TikToker, and that'll be the only way that you can consume any of this content. And that's a warning to you. So please help support my sponsors by clicking the links in the video description, specifically Alienware. They're sponsoring this. And I don't know, the other content as well that's sponsored by different people. Actually, I appreciate when you guys support any of my sponsorship stuff, because I have no issue with people that like do just dancing and stuff on TikTok or other stuff. I don't know. But I don't think anybody wants me to become that. And please support my sponsors.